Good morning, friends. Welcome to this part 1 of a series of talks on UCP DC. In this lecture, we shall be looking at the definitions and interpretations along with the scope, the 3 articles of Uniform Customs and Practices for Documentary Credits, and we will be taking up other larger articles, one per lecture, in the days to come. What is the scope? Article 1 of UCP says the rules apply to any documentary credit. It applies to documentary credits including standby letter of credit to the extent it is applicable. It is applicable when the text of the credit expressly states so. UCP is applicable when the text of the credit states so. It applies to any documentary credit, and these are the rules. These rules are binding on all the parties thereto. Who are the parties to the credit? The normal course, issuing bank and beneficiary. And these rules are binding unless expressly modified or excluded by the credit. Unless the documentary credit modifies or excludes a particular article of UCP, the UCP is applicable and binding on all the parties. Now, when we say unless expressly modified, it means it has to be explicit that a particular article, the applicability of an article, has been changed or intended to be changed. The definitions. Article 2 talks about definitions. Let us first look at the most important definition. What is a credit? A credit, which we normally call as an LC or a DC, letter of credit or a documentary credit, is just defined as credit in UCP, and a credit is any arrangement. It does not specify what should be the structure or the format. It is any arrangement, however named or described. It doesn't say it is LC or DC or whatever. It can be however named or described. It is irrevocable. A credit is irrevocable, and because it is irrevocable, it is a definite undertaking. Because it is irrevocable, it is a definite undertaking. Definite undertaking because the issuing bank gives an undertaking exactly specifying what are the terms, what are the conditions, what are the documents, what should be shipped, what will be paid, when it will be paid, how it will be paid. All this information is specified, exact, certain. So it is a definite undertaking. Undertaking of the issuing bank. It's not of any Tom, Dick and Harry. It's an undertaking of the issuing bank. And what is that undertaking? To honor. To honor means what? To pay at sight, or to pay on a deferred date, or to accept and pay on the maturity, or to negotiate. This is to honor. And honor what? A complying presentation. What do we mean by complying? Complying is complies with LC terms, complies with UCP, complies with standard practices. What is the presentation? The presentation of documents of the drawing on draft under the credit. So these definitions we will see in detail later. But credit is any arrangement, however named or described, irrevocable, definite undertaking of the issuing bank to honor a complying presentation. What is an advising bank? The bank that advises a credit at the request of the issuing bank is an advising bank. So it's not just a bank that advises a credit, it should be the bank who is doing it at the request of the issuing bank. So sometimes we may have a second advising bank, as we have seen in a previous lecture. What's an applicant, or who is an applicant? Applicant is a party on whose request the credit is issued. Applicant is a party on whose request the credit is issued. Whoever requests for the credit is an applicant. Beneficiary, whoever is the party to whose favor the LC is issued or the DC is issued, is the beneficiary. The party in whose favor credit is issued. What is complying presentation? Complying presentation is a presentation which is in accordance with the terms and conditions of the credit and applicable provisions of these rules. These rules means UCP DC and International Standard Banking Practice. When we say International Standard Banking Practice, it is not just the ISBP publication 681 or 745, but it is beyond that. Confirmation. Confirmation is again a definite undertaking. Just like issuing banks, credit is a definite undertaking of the issuing bank. Confirmation is a definite undertaking of the confirming bank. And what undertaking of the confirming bank? This is an undertaking in addition to that of the issuing bank. This is separate, different, and in addition to that of the issuing bank. And what is that undertaking for? To honor or to negotiate. When we talk about issuing bank, we say to honor. When we talk about confirming bank, we say the undertaking is to honor or to negotiate. Who is a confirming bank? The bank that adds its confirmation is a confirming bank. But how they add the confirmation? The adding of the confirmation should be upon issuing bank's authorization or request. So the confirmation field in the letter of credit may say may add, or without, or with. When it say with, it is an authorization. When it say may add, it's a request. So that's how we interpret. Banking day. What's a banking day? Banking day is any day on which the bank is regularly open. The particular bank should be open. For example, the city of Bombay, for example, State Bank of India should be open. It should be open at the place at which an act subject to the rules is to be performed. So suppose the LC says documents has to be presented at Bombay, place of expiry is Bombay, and a particular date is given, say 12th of December 2014. Then on 12th December 2014, if State Bank of India branches in Bombay are functioning, and if they are willing and ready to receive a trade document presentation, then it is a banking day for that bank. It may so happen they will be open, but they will not be receiving documents or doing any banking business. It may so happen the branches in Bombay are closed, but branches elsewhere in the country are open. In those cases, it will not be considered as a banking day. More details about this banking day and how this definition affects and all can be found in ISP 98, the rules for standby practices, international standby practices 98. Those it will have more legal terminology to define and interpret banking days. Honor. We have seen that credit means credit something available payment or sight and deferred payment. So what is an honor? If the credit is available by sight payment, honor means to pay at sight. If the credit is available by deferred payment, honor means to incur a deferred payment undertaking and to pay at maturity such an deferred payment undertaking. If the credit is available by acceptance, honor means to accept the bill of exchange and to pay at maturity. And this bill of exchange or the draft should have been drawn by the beneficiary. This is honor. This is an important definition which has crept in UCP 600. Earlier we did not have this. Negotiation. The definition of negotiation is given. It is purchase by the nominated bank of drafts or documents under a complying presentation by advancing or agreeing to advance funds to the beneficiary on or before the banking day on which reimbursement is due to the nominated bank. So negotiation is purchased by the nominated bank. Any other bank cannot do negotiation, only nominated bank can do. What they are doing? They are purchasing. Purchasing what? Drafts and or documents. It can be only bill of exchange or it can be documents only and not bill of exchange, or it could be both. Under which circumstance? Under a complying presentation. How they do this purchase? By advancing funds or agreeing to advance funds. So either they give the funds to the beneficiary or agree to give the funds to the beneficiary. When do they give? On or before a particular day. On or before a particular day. What is that particular day? The day on which the reimbursement is due to the nominated bank. Reimbursement is due to the nominated bank. Reimbursement from whom? Maybe reimbursing bank or issuing bank. And what day it should be? It should be a banking day. So the negotiation can happen only at the nominated bank counters, and it is a purchase of drafts or documents, and it's an underlying complying presentation. And how they do is they are agreeing to advance funds to the beneficiary on or before the day on which reimbursement is due to them. So if reimbursement is due to them on Monday, and if on a Friday or Saturday the nominated bank agrees to advance funds to the beneficiary, it is considered as negotiation. Presenter. Presenter is beneficiary, bank, or other party. The party who is presenting the documents. It could be the beneficiary of the LC, it could be the bank making presentation to the issuing bank or confirming bank, or any other party who is making the presentation. Now we come to Article 3, The article 3 is about interpretations. Again, this is new in UCP 600. It was not there in earlier UCPs, the interpretation, and this is to bring in line with the style or the format of ISP 98. Singular includes plural, plural includes singular. So when some word is used in the LC, the singular and plural, whether it is used as singular or plural, it includes both. Credit is irrevocable even if there is no indication to that effect. Why? Because in definition of credit we have seen what is a credit? Credit is a definite undertaking, an irrevocable definite undertaking. So because it is irrevocable definite undertaking, there is no need for the credit to say it is irrevocable. Why it is made clear in the interpretation? Under UCP 500, there was a possibility to issue irrevocable or revocable LC. So because there is a possibility of irrevocable and revocable LC, the Swift standards for MT700 messages stated that all LCs sent by Swift MT700 are automatically irrevocable. If it has to be revocable, they have to mention something there. When UCP 600 has been released, the Swift standard MT700 remained the same, but they have changed the message structure conditioning formats, saying that they will have field called form of LC. In that field, they will have drop-down options which will say it is irrevocable or not. So there we have to, by default, it will be irrevocable in all Swift messages or systems, but it can be changed as you wish. So that is where we say irrevocable plus UCP 600 and URR latest version and things like that, latest UCP, latest URR and things like that. Or else the LCs will automatically become irrevocable as well as UCP 600. A document called for under LC may be signed by handwriting, facsimile, perforation, stamp or symbol. Handwriting, facsimile, perforation, stamp or symbol. Perforation is small holes. Stamp is any rubber stamp or any other embossing stamp. Symbol is any other form of signature. It can be handwritten signature or facsimile. Facsimile could be a copy signature or a pre-signed formats. The signature could be mechanical or electronic. The intention is there should be an authentication. That is the only thing that is intended, and it could be signed in any form or fashion. If the words on or about are used with regards to a specific date, if they say on or about 14th December 14, then the event is supposed to occur during the period 5 calendar days before until 5 calendar days after the specified date. 5 calendar days before 14 December 14, 5 calendar days after 14 December 14. So totally there will be 10 days, both start and end days are included, and this event is supposed to happen between this period, 5 days before, 5 days after, including the date. So this will say shipment on or about a particular date. This is what it will be, how they will use it in some of the letter of credits. To determine a period of shipment, this is to determine a specific date. If to determine a period of shipment, if the credit uses the words like to, until, till, from and between, what does it mean? It will say shipment until, shipment till, shipment from, or shipment in between. If they give the dates, then it will include the date mentioned. If it is for a period of shipment, if the words to, until, till, from and between are used for a period, it will include the date. But if it is to determine before and after is used, then it will exclude the date. Again, for the determining the period of shipment, if they use the word before and after, then it will exclude the date mentioned. To, until, till, from and between will include the date. Before and after will exclude the date. This is with regard to period of shipment. With regard to specified date, when you use on or about, it means 5 calendar days before and 5 calendar days after. We are not talking about banking days, we are talking about calendar days, and both start and end dates are included. When we talk about maturity date, and if the words from and after are used, then we will exclude the date mentioned. So that's it. The requirements. If there is a requirement in the credit that the document be legalized, visad, certified, etc., then it will be satisfied by any signature, mark, stamp or label. If there is a requirement that the document be visad or legalized or certified, it will be satisfied by any signature, mark, stamp or label. But what should this stamp be? It should be on the document that appears to satisfy that requirement. For example, if they say certificate of origin is to be legalized, then there can be any signature, mark or stamp on the certificate of origin which appears like that it is being legalized or it is being visad. Branches of a bank are considered as separate banks. Branches of the banks are considered as separate banks when they are in different countries. They are not considered as one bank for the purpose of issuing bank, advising bank, nominated bank, reimbursing bank responsibilities, rights and duties. When the credit describes the issuer of a document as first class or well known or qualified or independent or official or competent or local, that is first class, well qualified, well known, independent, official, competent or local, when such words are used to describe a issuer of a document, it means the documents can be issued by any issuer other than beneficiary. It means it can be issued by any issuer other than beneficiary. If anything else is intended other than this interpretation, then the credit has to specify. Then we go back to the original clause which says, unless expressly modified or excluded by UCP, this interpretation of UCP will apply to that credit. Some words will be disregarded. One of the things that will be disregarded is prompt, another is immediately, and third is as soon as possible. These words will be disregarded unless the credit gives more amplification about what is intended. When we use the word first half of the month or second half of the month, it means 1st to 15th or 16th to the last day of the month. When we will use this, most of the time it will be shipment should happen in first half of the month or shipment should not happen in the second half of the month, like that. Also, there is a usage of the words like beginning of the month, middle of the month and end of the month. Beginning of the month means 1st to 10th of the month, middle means 11th to 20th, and end of the month could mean 21st to the last day of the month. This is the standard interpretation of the usage. So we have come to an end of the first part of the discussion on UCP DC. Thanks for watching. Keep coming back. We shall meet again with another session on the continuing articles of UCP.